please remember that when things get rough, you can always leave over there and come here to Sankofa Books and sit down and relax. Because this is the liberation space and the liberation zone.
Camarades, mesdames, messieurs, bonsoir. Merci d'être venus. Je crois qu'en tant qu'Africain, cela mérite que nous ayons des félicitations parce que habituellement nous sommes plus en retard que cela. Donc comprenez que nous ayons accusé la vingtaine de minutes en retard. Je vais simplement commencer d'abord ce soir par remercier ceux qui gèrent ce lieu. Quelques-uns de vous peut-être savent qui est Haile Gerima, d'autre part. Haile Gerima d'origine éthiopienne est celui-là même qui a obtenu le prix étalon d'or Yenenga, FESPACO 2009. Malheureusement, il n'est pas là ce soir parce que depuis 2-3 mois, un voyage était prévu au Japon en tant que membre du jury d'un festival de films. Sa sœur qui l'a représenté en 2009 pour recevoir ce prix, à Ouagadougou, est là, Salomé. Donc je crois que valablement elle saura représenter Haile et son idéal. Mais je veux aussi demander, si vous le permettez, que nous ayons ce soir une minute de silence pour toutes les victimes d'injustice de ce monde. Merci. Sans plus tarder, le programme est très succinct, mais très simple, à savoir que je vais passer la parole à Salomé Gerima, qui va introduire un peu le programme de cette soirée. Et puis nous allons visionner le film L'homme intègre sur la vie de Thomas Sankara avec quelques témoins qui ont bien voulu apporter leur regard sur l'action de l'homme durant toute sa vie, de 83 à 87. Merci. Je vous passe la parole à Salomé Gerima.
Good evening, and thank you for coming to Sankofa Video Books Cafe. This is, I guess, the place where we can discuss our problem, our issues, and teach our children their culture. And especially today, I'm very glad to attend President. He's all the time alive for us. Thomas Sankara, 24 years of assassination. And today we are very glad to meet Thomas Sankara's family, who is here, let's say Pascal Sankara, the brother, and let's say Paul, the brother, Paulina, the sister.
She's not Spanish, it's Pauline.
Oh, Pauline.
Yeah.
Pauline. French colonial language, you know. We should have our African names. Lydie, sister, Philip and August, Thomas Sankara's 2 sons. So we are going to have view his documentary film of Sankara, and then after that we will have a panel discussion about what is happening in Africa before his time and during his time, and even now, what is going on, when are we going to improve what we are suffering for the so-called power, and what we have to be. Anyway, let's have a very good discussion today so that we'll not go without caring what we discuss and do something about what is going on in Africa and outside Africa for African people. So today we have a very special day, and thank you for coming again. Before you leave, we want you to have a contact, because this is a center where we discuss freely our problem, where we follow our culture. It is a learning center. So please do not forget to sign your name so that we'll put you in our emailing list, and we'll contact you all the time whenever we have this kind of events. Thank you again.
Sa réalisation, j'ai suggéré à ce que le réalisateur aille vers ceux qui auront des critiques. On ne parle pas des trains qui arrivent à l'heure, mais plutôt qu'est-ce qui n'a pas marché, quelles étaient les limites, parce que c'était une œuvre humaine. Voilà, c'est ce qui m'a plu dans cette démarche. La deuxième chose, c'est que ceux qui ont apporté des critiques aujourd'hui, on les entend pratiquement pas par rapport à ce qui se passe au Burkina. 24 ans après. Donc, je me demande si ce sont les mêmes qui ont pu critiquer les 4 ans d'expérience révolutionnaire au Burkina. Je voudrais, avant qu'on ouvre vous proposer, avant qu'on ouvre les discussions, rapidement remercier ceux qui ont fait les longs déplacements. Les camarades, les frères et amis de New York, c'est de New Jersey. Et tout le monde d'ailleurs. Rapidement, les intervenants seront les suivants. Nous avons ici ce soir le frère Nyaka Gervais Lagoki, du mouvement la Renaissance pan-africaine. Il y a aussi la sœur de Haile Guérima qui, Haile lui-même physiquement n'a pas pu être avec nous, mais qui pourra apporter son témoignage, parce qu'en 1987, elle était non seulement au Burkina, mais comme je l'ai dit d'entrée, avant la projection du film, en 2009, c'est elle qui a représenté son frère pour recevoir le prix du FESPACO 2009. Et bien entendu, ceux qui ont des témoignages, des suggestions, des idées, n'hésitez pas à les apporter au cours de cette conversation. Je souhaite que ce ne soit pas très académique, mais quelque chose de convivial et de familial, quoi. Il n'y a pas de conférencier, il n'y a pas de... Voilà, celui qui a une idée, une proposition, patron. Donc, sorry about that. We have been colonized by French, so that's not a problem.
You're here now, so. What did you say?
Okay, I was just saying that. I will try, okay? I like this movie for 2 reasons. The first one is about the critics. We don't want to talk just about the train or buses who come on time. We want to see what was the downside of the 4 years experience of the revolution in Burkina Faso. That's why I worked with this young guy in Paris, in France, suggesting him to go, even try to get some witness from the interview with the current president, who is still in Burkina, 24 years. The second reason is about the critics themselves. Since 1987, I haven't heard about none of them. And we know that in Burkina, that's one of the worst political regime in West Africa. So, and then I just thanks those who came from New York. We have some brothers and sisters from New York and New Jersey. And I also end up with the fact that Aile Gerima, who is the owner of this place, who won the first award in Festival Movie in Burkina, 2009, and he refused to go there since 1987 for the simple reason he can betray his friend who is not physically with him, Thomas Sankara. So his sister went to Ouagadougou and get the award for him. So, and last thing was that there is no speaker tonight. We just want to be between the big family members. Let's make it pretty easy, practical, and put some ideas for next year, which I think would be different. I hope we will commemorate differently. I mean, the regime in Burkina won't be here next week. Next week. It will be the quarter of century, 25 years.
Next week.
Okay, all right. That's, I need things to go easy. So, okay, let's make it short and question, answers, and anybody has a witness can take the floor and express his idea.
Okay. Hello. My name is Nyaka Lagoke. I'm from the Ivory Coast, and it's a privilege and an honor for me to be here and to talk about Thomas Sankara. I know I spoke with the Sankara's family, but I did not know that they were going to choose me to be here. And when I saw my name on the list as one of the people to speak, I was a little bit surprised. And by the way, it was my friend Trevor Young who called me and said, "Are you going to be a speaker at Sankofa?" I said, "Really?" And this is how I knew. But I'm glad to be here, and the documentary is very interesting, very informative. And I know there are many people here who maybe have read more than me about Thomas Sankara. So I'm not here as an expert, but I want to share a couple of things with you about Thomas Sankara. We've been organizing the African community and the African diaspora for a couple of years, promoting a Pan-African forum. And I had the privilege, to meet with Sankara's family many years ago here in America. And it was a privilege for me. And since then, I've been partnering with them, and they have been a strategic support to the cause. And that goes beyond the legacy of their brother. I was in Gagnoa. It's a city in the central western part of Ivory Coast. And I was in high school, I think in 1983, 83, 84. And my teacher, that's the testimony I want to share about Thomas Sankara. My teacher was somebody who was a citizen of Burkina Faso, or Upper Volta at that time. And because we were following politics in Africa, so we were interested in what was going on in South Africa with the struggle led by Nelson Mandela. And then we also knew that there was a young leader who was emerging on the political scene in Africa, and his name was Thomas Sankara. I think they did not talk about that here. He was the Minister of Information before becoming a president. So we were excited, and then we were hoping to see somebody who could live, who could come with, who could be the embodiment of the hope we've been looking for in Africa. So I used to, this is what I used to do, because I loved politics. So I used to meet with my teacher many times. I lived the revolution in Burkina Faso, thanks to what I was reading, and also thanks to the teaching of my professor. I think his name is Mr. Sanu, and he was teaching me about Thomas Sankara. So when Thomas Sankara became president, of course, for us it was the fulfillment of our aspiration to see him president. In Africa, and I'm going to launch some jabs at some people. People want to give us the impression that we are cursed in Africa. So nothing good can come out of Africa. They want to talk about Africa as a land of poverty, a land of disasters and tragedies and wars, a land where we cannot find good people, because this is the general idea. So when we see a leader in Africa, they will tell you he's a thief, he's a crooked person, he's a crook, and anything they say about our leaders that they are not good enough, to be counted as great men in the history or in the civilization of mankind. Nelson Mandela is one of our greatest heroes. Kwame Nkrumah is one of our greatest heroes. And we have Lumumba. But one thing I like particularly about the movie, and I think they said that, because it's what I used to say about Thomas Sankara. In 4 years, Thomas Sankara had changed the destiny of a nation. 4 years. And I think there is somebody who spoke about that in the documentary. But what does it mean? It means that if somebody is sincere and somebody wants to live by his principles of sharing, of responsibility, about compassion, you can change the lives of your community, and Thomas Sankara did that. I come from the Ivory Coast. Houphouët-Boigny was the first president of the country, and he was, as it was said in the documentary, a puppet of the French regime. And then we could see when Sankara said that neighboring countries of Burkina Faso needed revolution. And Houphouët-Boigny will answer and he said, no, we don't need revolution, but we need evolution. Because we know Burkina Faso was a poor country, and Houphouët-Boigny wanted to laugh at Thomas Sankara. But at the same time, as he was a threat to neo-colonial forces, they did everything they could do in order to kill the guy. And the day of his assassination, because I was in Ivory Coast and because I was a journalist later on, we knew that the Ivorian army was ready as if that day we were going to a war. And they posted their army at the border of Burkina Faso and Ivory Coast because it was in the vital interest of the neo-colonial forces and of Ivory Coast to see Thomas Sankara dead, because they did not want him to escape and to come to Ivory Coast or to go to another country. So today when we see Sankara, we think about somebody who embodied hope in Africa, who embodied possibility in Africa, and who was a good man. And then if we want to be sincere for what we want to do in Africa, yes, there are great men. There are great men we can find in Europe, in America, but in Africa, we had good people, and so Thomas Sankara was one of the best people Africa can produce. So that's my testimony for Thomas Sankara, and I remember because I was talking about him on a constant basis, I was reading about him. So the day there was a coup in Burkina Faso, my friends came to my room and they told me, oh, there is a coup in Burkina Faso. My first reaction, I told the people, there is no way they're going to leave him, they're going to let him alive. That the only thing they will do, they will kill the guy. Even before they announced that he was killed, because they cannot leave Thomas Sankara alive, overthrown in Burkina Faso, as Thomas Sankara was very popular. And in my culture, when you lose somebody dear to you, then you shave, your head, right? You shave your head. And this is what I did for Thomas Sankara, and it was the only time I did that in my life, and I passed 30 already. My father died in 2002. I did not do that because Thomas Sankara for me is my hero, the hero of many, many millions of Africa. And then we will, that's why when we launched the forum in 2007, That's why everything we do is not only an African hero, a romantic revolutionary, a good person, but he was also a true Pan-African hero. And this is what we want to celebrate when we talk about Thomas Sankara. And then if God gives me a long life, I will do everything possible to contribute to the perpetuation of his legacy, of his dream, of his vision, alongside many other people, so that in the 21st century, we can learn from what they did in order to negotiate a better future for Africa. Last thing I will say before I leave the stage. Sometimes I think that's Obama. When you look at Thomas Sankara and you look at Barack Obama, you can see the difference. Clearly.
Political difference. That's right.
Clearly. Thomas Sankara, the one thing I particularly like, and I said it already, he was a sincere person. Everything he said he was going to do, even though he was in the political arena, he tried to do it, he believed in the principles, and he did it. There were some mistakes, but for us who follow him, we know that there were many, many great achievements he accomplished when he was president. Compared to Barack Obama, who gave hope to the entire mankind,
There is no comparison.
and then became president, promoting the audacity of hope. And then he transformed that audacity of hope into the audacity of deception.
That's right.
So this is, but when Barack Obama went to Africa, and then he was talking about African leaders, I was so shocked and so disappointed by his speech. As if in Africa we didn't have Nkrumah, we didn't have Mandela, we didn't have Sankara. As if everybody in Africa was Mobutu or Félix Houphouët-Boigny. So this is my last comment on Thomas Sankara. If there are some questions, I will be more than happy to answer. And thank you very much. It's a privilege for me to be here. And long live Thomas Sankara, long live Africa, and long live a redeemed and united Africa.
Thank you very much, Nyaka, for your witness. Right now, we have a young. Oh, you have a question? Oh, okay. 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 And yeah, the agenda is we will take the question later on after the different, intervention. We have a young student from Burkina Faso who came recently in the U.S. His name is Mohamed Compaore, and he told me, don't put the C to Compaore, that's a K. Just want to make the difference. That's what is here. So, Mohamed Compaore.
Before we can start, has anybody parked the Nissan Maxima out back?
Maxima.
Brazil, the light is on, it's been on for a little while. Check.
Thank you.
Bonsoir à tout le monde. Moi c'est Compaore Mohamed. Je suis là il y a à peu près un mois de cela et j'étais à Ouaga lors de mutinerie et plus précisément l'affaire à Koudjoubou concernant l'affaire Justin Zambou.
I want to say hello to everybody and explain to you what happened this year in Burkina Faso. You knew what happened in February, uprising happened there, and so many media talk about, but few here in the United States did not.
Bon, ce que j'ai à vous dire sur ce sujet, principalement parce que je suis étudiant à Koudjoubou et j'ai assisté vraiment à ce qui s'est passé sur le terrain, c'était vraiment trop cruel. Si on peut.
I just want to tell you about what happened in Koudjoubou, the city of Koudjoubou, a third city of the country. You know, the uprising started because something very, very bad happened there again by the regime.
C'était tellement bad ce que j'ai eu à assister parce que si l'on peut ordonner à une armée de tirer à balles réelles sur des étudiants et des élèves, franchement, c'est. On n'a pas une estimation, on ne vous a pas montré les images telles qu'elles sont sur le terrain, mais on a eu tellement de pertes en vie humaine, surtout du côté étudiant.
So, I'm just saying, so many students was targeted by army forces sent by the member of government in the city after the uprising of a student to ask for justice for one of the comrades.
Bon, il a été dit que l'élève Justin Zongo en classe de 3e est mort suite à une méningite. Bon, ça n'a pas été le cas parce que c'est une fausse information. Le petit est mort suite à des coups et blessures d'un homme de tué.
Okay, the student Justin Zongo was tortured by police officers in the city, while the government members has said that he was sick by meningitis.
Donc c'est suite à ces coups et blessures que cet enfant est décédé. Et pour le médecin traitant, il est décédé de méningite. Et pourtant, on avait des élèves en formation de santé, qu'on appelle au pays ENEP, qui ont suivi puisqu'ils étaient en stage dans les hôpitaux. Donc ils ont suivi, ils ont le cahier de suivi. Le petit s'est présenté à l'hôpital avec des blessures et non par plein de maladies suite à des méningites. Et bon, franchement, l'histoire de Koudou ça nous a tellement touchés. On a été maltraités, on a été frappés, on a été chassés des cités. On n'avait rien à manger, on n'avait même pas de pain où dormir. On n'avait pas de sous sur nous.
So after the torture of a student, Justin Zongo, he passed away, and the government said he passed away by meningitis disease. So the student uprised to ask for justice for him, and then there was target and shot by gunfire. And I personally witnessed, because I have I received a personal pictures of a dead body of 6 students.
Parce que je prends le cas des étudiants, bon, par nous les garçons, nous pouvons nous démerder, mais particulièrement les filles. Les filles, ce problème a envoyé la prostitution à Koudou. Parce que les filles, Koudou c'est une université qui contient des étudiants Bobo du Lasso, parfois d'une très longue distance. Et maintenant, sur place, on vous dit de quitter les lieux. Vous n'avez rien en poche. Comment faire pour rentrer? Comment faire pour rentrer à la maison?
Okay, I want to hear something. I want to just tell you here, the country Burkina Faso is leading by Blaise Compaoré. Like you see in the movie, you saw the movie. He's in power for 24 years. While France and United Nations, some members of United Nations, and even if United States give him a reward for being a mediator of conflict in West Africa, this for the past 5 years ago, they're saying he's a role model of democracy, while his country, the student of the country suffering and obliged to prostitute themselves to survive.
Franchement, il faut que nous appelons tout le monde à une prise de conscience pour le gouvernement en place. Franchement, ça ne va pas au pays. Ça ne va pas. C'est tout ce que j'avais à dire. Et la patrie ou la mort.
I just want to hand to ask all of you here. We now have so many, but a few people convinced are 1,000 times better than million people and convincible. So we want to ask to all mobilize in order to inform through international community, so we can do something for this country, not even Burkina Faso only, but all African countries still in suffering of dictatorship. So we can get away of to find a way for true development of Africa. We are able to do so.
Merci. Thank you both for your witness. Now, let's listen to another part of the world. That's men who express themselves since the beginning. We need a woman to give us her experience tonight. So let's listen to Salome, who was in Burkina Faso in '87, And as I said earlier, the same person who received the award for his brother, for her brother, in 2009. Thank you.
Well, good evening again. Good evening again. I was in, my husband was working with the African Union at that time, OAU, Organization for African Unity, in the subgrad where they do research. He was a research director over there and worked for 20 years. So from starting from Sankara up to Les Compaoré. And it really gives us a very good overview what is leadership means. A sincere leader who goes through reality, and a fake leaders, or a leader who does everything whatever the Western order do, or his qualification fits the Western. So at the time Sankara I was there from 1983 and for about 8 years. At the time he was leading, I really have a very, in fact, he was my mentor for so many things, because leaders, we don't see them just like that as a low profile. Sankara was my first leader in Africa that I was being able, or everybody was being able to meet him. Whenever he goes to work, I always see him on the side of the driver. His wife, while I am going with a driver, she drives the car that you saw, the blue car, before they became a leader. That was the car that they have until the day he died. Donc, when he was a leader, he gave me a lot of observation of leaders in Africa or elsewhere. At the time he was being killed, I was working at the American Embassy, and it was very close to the government office, his palace, and American Embassy, French Embassy, all the Western Embassy were very closer to each other. So the first day it was quiet. Everybody, we were told to leave the office right away. Just at 3 o'clock, we were told to go. So I didn't know for what it was. So we went out to our house, and there was a lot of shooting in the evening. And we do not know what was going on. But in the morning, I went to work. At the time when we were there was this American who was the director of GSO, General Service Department. She came into all the American embassy with a big fruit, apple, pineapple, fruit salad. And she was going, look, he was killed last night. The following morning, she was going into each office and say, "Félicitations, congratulations, now you have time, now you are free to eat whatever you want. Anything that comes from abroad, you know." Sankara was saying, let's consume what we produce. Let's exchange within Africa. Let's be empowered within Africa. Let's have English instructor from Ghana, Nigeria, who speaks English, and let's have no British, no French from Europe. Just let's deal our development within ourselves. When we talk about Ethiopian Airlines, he was so proud of Ethiopian Airlines, because Ethiopian Airlines is one of the African airline who really made the French mad. The French were against the Ethiopian airline, and he was the first man to bring Ethiopian Airlines the line into Francophone countries in Burkina Faso. He has done a lot of things. It is very few. He has done a lot. And of course, there is, when you try to do positive things to your country, there are people who will be bribed to kill their own selves, okay? So when she was passing out this fruit salad, I cried. And when she comes very closer to me, get out of this area right away. I cannot. You are the one who killed him, not Compaoré. You know? But all the Burkinabe was eating without, I know deep down they didn't like it. Because, you know, the Burkinabe are very special. They are different from other African countries. If I have to really label who is better among ourselves. To me, if I were not able to go to Ethiopia, Burkina Faso will be my choice of home to live. So the people are nice. After the killing, everybody was like this. All the senior fathers, mothers were very sad. It was sad. Huh? When I go with the driver, Madame Sankara drives her own car, a wife of a president, first lady. I have never seen this in any place. On Sundays, maybe the brothers, the sisters may know, but what I saw in my house, I tell you, he has this baguette, the bread, to have breakfast with his parent. I see him with a bicycle, driving a bicycle. He's a very low profile. He was really, yeah. But after he died, in fact, you know, when he was traveling to go to African Union, Organization for African Union, where he gives that beautiful speech, whenever he goes, he don't have a private plane. He don't rent a chartered plane. He goes from one African country to another until he reaches Addis Ababa. Can you imagine? He was a very low profile. Then, after he died, what I saw, the first thing was Martin, the singer, Michael Jackson's. He has his, the tour plane jet that Burkina Faso bought for Blaise Compaoré. And guess what? The pilot was British, who were all the time sitting down, resting in Silmande, one of the top hotel in Burkina Faso. Whenever I go, I see them sitting, relaxing, and spending a lot of money. That was Compaoré's private plane with a British pilot. So what I'm trying to, my observation, or what I really wanted to say is, when a leader try to do positives to African people, our own people, the superpower will level them, either communist, a traitor. So many bad names will be given. At that time, Burkina Faso, during Sankara, it was top of the world. You will not see any media, BBC, CNN, whatever, without the first breakdown news is Burkina Faso. That little country, Everybody was talking about Burkina Faso because they were so scared. The superpowers were so scared. And we know he's not going to live long. He died. I went and convey my condolence to Madame Sankara. I went to this house that he saw. A leader who can do so many things didn't. I went, after 2 years, I went to visit Burkina Faso because I moved here. After I moved here, I was going, since my husband was there, I have to go. And whenever I go and visit his parent. His parent. I have seen, when you go into the house, you'll see the Compaoré and Thomas Sankara's big picture, okay? And he told me one thing. One time, in one of the Arab countries bought a car to his father. So Sankara went and asked him where he got that, because all the time he has a velo and a bicycle, not a car. He told him, somebody gave me, I guess it is because, it is because of me. Thomas Sankara's father is driving a car. No, bring it. He put it to the government of America. He took it from him and gave it to the government. And then he saw somebody is driving it now. After he died, he saw somebody is driving it. Thomas Sankara has done a lot to Africa, not only to Burkina or to West Africa. He says, let us consume what we can produce. We don't know how to, we are born for the same weather that we are now. We don't need any air conditioner, you see. He was a very simple, he started from himself. Let's wear, in fact, what he proposed was very healthy, organic. Let's wear the produce that we produce. Let's not be hung out with the cravat, with all that fancy things. Let's expense or let's unite. He believes in the unification of Africa. At that time, Rolling, him, Samra Machel was a very young and very competitive leaders who died. I mean, Rolling is around, but this too has been executed. In any case, now what we have seen, especially in my time, we Africans should start what happened. We should get a lesson and make ourselves to be the owner of our continent. We have so many things that have combined us together, even though, thanks to the colonizers, have divided us in different language. Now look here, the English, the French have really giving us a lot of separation, but we Africans have to really wake up and let's not hate each other. Okay, Blaise Compaoré is suffering. He's not a happy man, even though he lives in a very beautiful palace. You know, I went many times after, even now. 2 years I went for FESPACO every 2 years. And I have seen how they are far from the reality, the husband and wife. But I'm sure he's not happy deep down. He's not. Because Burkinabe are nice, Africans are nice. We never killed each other. We never. It is the Europeans who are dividing us, who are separating us, who wants us to kill each other. We have 3 qualifications to pass their level of good people, and that is disease, drought, and kill each other. So today I wanted all my brothers and sisters, let's really wake up. Let's not, if he kills, we should not kill him. And we should be the one who should have the authority to administer and judge. And that is, we should empower African Union. Last time I attended the ceremony of 100 years of Kwame Ture birthday in African Union. His daughter says, look, my father, and during that time, the leaders, the Egyptian leader himself, our leader, get together and start to make African Union, but it didn't until now. European Union started recently and they became united, and we have not united. And that union, that organization, that institute has to be remodeled again, restructured again, so that whenever we have any conflict, any problem, like Gaddafi's, what he faced. When I talk about leaders, I don't mean I am siding, but we have to be the people who should judge our leaders, who should thank you, who should be the final decider of our country, our continent. If we became united, love each other, and be strong to say no. You Europeans, Americans, what your intention? We know you. We don't want your money. We don't want your bribe. We don't want anything. We have to be the owner of our country, and let's really restate African Union. And we should not, like Charles Taylor, should not go to Hague. Bush must be going to Hague to be tried. If it is a genuine proposal. African leaders in chain should not go over there. We have our own union. The African Union, who is staffed there, packed there, should be re-modified. Now, before it was East-West, and then now the Asian, especially the Chinese and the Europeans, are playing on our right, on our wealth, on our resource. Let's wake up. Let's wake up. Sankara says, let's wear our clothes. Now, who is bringing our arts and our clothes? The Chinese became the wealthiest from our resource. The Europeans are still. Let's stand. Let's really do something before we passed. Let's implement something together and remodify, restructure that center. That is our own tukul, our own traditional house, where we can judge, where we can be together, where we can be united. There is no other way that we can be. Thank you. I'm sorry for getting to take you. By the way, if you want to buy Sankara's video, we are selling here. Today we were not able to get, but you can leave, you have to talk in the front, but you can leave your name and order for you. We have so many books and videos that it is a must-see film that you can get it here, and don't forget to write your name for a mailing list. Thank you so much for
Africa for Africans. Africa for Africans. Africa one nation. Touch one, touch all. Touch one, touch all. Thank you for this emotional testimony, a true one. Next step, we will listen to Mr. Ba from New York, and the second would be Ms. Fatim Jallo for New Jersey. Mr. Ba, thank you.
anglais. Bonsoir, bonsoir tout le monde. Je voudrais... Ah, j'ai une traductrice. Mon ami, moi je suis mieux que toi. Hein. Moi j'ai une femme qui va traduire. Toi c'est Yves qui a traduit pour toi. Ah, tu es là. Ah, je t'avais même pas vu. Ok, bonsoir à tout le monde. Chers camarades, ce que je voulais attirer votre attention là-dessus, c'est le fait que un monsieur, un de mes camarades ici, a parlé de Obama, il a parlé de Sankara et de Obama. D'abord, ce que je souhaiterais que vous sachiez, ce ne sont pas les mêmes individus. Pourquoi ce ne sont pas les mêmes individus? Parce que Sankara était président du pays le plus pauvre du monde. Et en 4 ans, il a vaincu la faim. Le premier sur le continent africain à vaincre la faim. En 4 ans, dans un pays le plus pauvre du monde.
Okay. All right. Good afternoon, everybody. Okay.
Mon ami, ça c'est un coup de temps. Hein? Coup de temps avec le micro.
No, sir. Thank you.
Ah.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. This one is better? Okay. It's fine. All right. Good afternoon, everyone. I would like to draw your attention about something. Okay. All right. Thank you. Sorry about this. I would like to draw your attention about something. The gentleman here mentioned Barack Obama and draw a comparison between him and the President Sankara. But I would like to tell everybody that there is a big difference between Sankara and Barack Obama. President Sankara became the president of one of the poorest countries in the world, and in just 4 years, he fought against famine, hunger, and succeeded to grow the economy of his country, which is not what Barack Obama has been doing in America.
Ok. Alors? Voilà, donc je voudrais attirer l'attention de tout le monde là-dessus parce que visiblement, les États-Unis, c'est la première puissance mondiale. Alors, si Obama n'arrive pas à faire mieux que Sankara, ça va beaucoup m'étonner. Donc, il ne faudrait pas qu'on confonde les deux individus. Ça, c'est la deuxième des choses. La troisième des choses est que je voudrais dire que Sankara, c'est un papa spirituel pour nous. C'est un grand frère spirituel pour nous. C'est un camarade spirituel pour nous, pour certains d'entre nous. Et comme vous le savez, chez nous en Afrique, on dit « malheur à l'enfant qui ne fait pas mieux que son père ». Ne nous asseyons pas seulement pour parler de Sankara.
Barack Obama is the president of the most powerful country in the world. And if being the president of such a powerful country, he hasn't been able to do what Sankara had done in 4 years, it means these two men cannot be compared because they're not on the same level. Kind of lost the third part. So
Oui, j'ai dit que Sankara c'est un papa spirituel.
Okay.
Sankara c'est un grand frère spirituel. Sankara c'est un petit frère spirituel pour certains d'entre nous. C'est un camarade spirituel. Et chez nous en Afrique on dit malheur à celui qui ne fait pas mieux que son père. Ne nous asseyons pas seulement pour parler de Sankara.
Yeah, okay. Sankara is a spiritual father, brother, and comrade to all of us. And in Africa, there is a saying stating that bad luck or shame on people or children who don't do better than their fathers or those who were there before them.
So, donc je disais qu'il ne faut pas que nous nous asseyions seulement pour parler de Sankara, mais nous devons faire quelque chose pour ceux qui viennent après nous. Et si nous voulons faire quelque chose pour ceux qui viennent après nous, parce que lui, il a fait quelque chose pour ceux qui sont venus après lui. C'est pourquoi nous parlons de lui. Il faut qu'on parle de nous aussi. Alors, de ce pas, nous empruntons son pas à lui pour donner l'exemple à notre future génération.
Okay. From that, we should learn that we should not just sit here and talk about Thomas Sankara. He left us a legacy, and he has done things that we are proud to talk about today, and we should do the same thing for the future generations so that we can be mentioned by them and can prepare the best steps for the great steps, least good steps for the future generation, just as Thomas Sankara has done it for us.
Ok, chers camarades, je ne vais pas m'en tenir beaucoup là-dessus, mais ce que je voulais dire seulement que, sachons ensemble que c'est deux mains qui se lavent. Si depuis, pendant 24 ans, Blaise Compaoré est toujours au pouvoir, et que des Burkinabés ou des humains sont en train de subir, c'est qu'à quelque part, nous sommes complices. Qui ne dit rien, consent. Alors, il va falloir que nous faisons quelque chose pour ça.
It's been 24 years since Blaise Compaoré has been in power, and us not being able to do something so far means in some kind of way that we agree with his rule. We need to act, we need to take our responsibilities, we need to do something about it.
Faire quelque chose about it, prendre des actions, faire des actions about it. Pourquoi? Parce que ce n'est pas seulement pour les Burkinabés que nous le faisons. C'est pour toutes ces femmes qui sont assises à la maison, qui ne peuvent pas aller accoucher à l'hôpital, parce que le système que Compaoré a installé est en train de les sixter. Tous ces enfants qui ne peuvent pas aller à l'école, parce que leurs parents n'ont pas les moyens de leur permettre cela, mais tout en sachant que Sankara s'était promis une chose, qui était d'offrir à tout un Burkinabé 2 repas par jour et 10 litres d'eau. Et il a accepté de mourir pour cela. Donc, il faut que nous aussi, nous acceptons quelque chose pour cette future génération ou pour ces gens sans voix. Il faut que nous soyons leur voix.
We should not only fight for Burkina Faso, for the Burkinabe. This fight is not just about them, but the fight is also about all these pregnant women who cannot afford to give birth in hospitals, and all these children who cannot afford to be schooled just because their parents are poor. Sorry, I'm just losing you.
Sankara s'était promis une chose.
Thomas Sankara promised his people 2 things. He promised to grant them 2 meals a day, as well as 10 liters of water every day, though Burkina Faso was like a desert. And we must try to do better than what he has proposed and to guarantee at least these things for the population.
Je vous remercie, camarades. La patrie ou la mort de notre. Merci beaucoup.
Thank you, Pa. Let me bring you just short information. We out of time right now, so we should go focus on the main point and allow people to ask questions. And so the next one is Miss Fatima, if she can be really short, condensed, and tackle the key points and let's make a practical conversation.
To stand against, and then so we're going to be busy. So if we are serious, 2012 we are going to be busy. And if you were not Pan-Africanist before these times, I think you can become a Pan-Africanist of circumstance and join the struggle so that together, we can write a new chapter, like in the history of Africa. And last thing, this is what they say, that we don't have leaders, and the sister, she gave that wonderful testimony. What we notice is this, and this is going to be my last point. What happened to Samora Machel? You can answer. What happened to Steve Biko, to Nelson Mandela, to Govan Mbeki, to Kwame Nkrumah, to Lumumba, to any time, to Malcolm X, to Dr. King, to Fred Hampton, anytime there is a person who rise in the black community, because they think that we are so doomed and so cursed that they will not able to think about our own development. But what we notice is this, and we need to say it. Anytime there is a good person, or somebody who tries to be good, either in Africa or in the global African community, the same fate. They either kill you or they cause like an uprising against you. The same thing they did to Sankara. Before they kill him, you saw that strike, it was orchestrated in order to weaken the revolution. This is what they've been doing for centuries. They will kill many other people, but we should not be afraid of dying, and we need to stand up so that once we can show to the world that we can defy the power of the army, and we can try to perpetuate the legacy of Nkrumah, of Sankara, of Lumumba, and all those ancestors they killed, they imprisoned, or they try to destroy. That's my last thing, and then I hope that together we can think about everything we're going to do next year. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nyanka. So let's open for the questions now.
Good evening. Thank you to everyone, especially to the Sankara family, to Sankofa Books for this most important gathering. I was in Senegal in 2007, the time of the 20th commemoration of the assassination of Thomas Sankara, and I saw posters and flyers. I was teaching there, working at an international school, teaching English, and I went out to find out more. I saw this film in French. I can't call myself bilingual, unfortunately, not yet. And so I struggled through understanding the film. It was in its French version, but I was able to get the main points. And I found myself shocked to realize that I did not know and did not understand who and what this man was and what he represents as just a great, great, great leader in the tradition of our great leaders, as has been mentioned. I know that I will, when I return, I'm working at a language school here now in Washington, I will incorporate this day and the commemoration of this day into my lesson on Tuesday when I go back to school. I know that, like myself, most people, black, white, whatever, but focusing on black people here in the United States, don't know, maybe have never heard the name Thomas Sankara, and there's a reason for that. When I thought back when I was in Senegal in 2007, when I thought back to where I was exactly in 1987, I was not a child, I was a young man, and interested in Africa and everything concerning Africa, and I did know the name, but I just did not have the depth of understanding that I should have had. But there are reasons for that. We are intentionally kept ignorant and deflected and misdirected and miseducated because if and when we do get to the point of understanding who we are and who the players are, then maybe we will finally come into our own and be fully upright as a people, be we on the African continent or wherever we may find ourselves. So I will introduce the name Thomas Sankara in my classroom on Tuesday as a reading and a writing assignment, and that's just one small thing. There's been mention made of Barack Obama and Barack Obama's name. I think we all need to question our own naivete and maybe gullibility at the same time of being compassionate to ourselves about seeing in him the hope of change, but then realizing that I think we all need to realize that he was put in place. So let's understand that, and let's be clear not so much be so heavy on him, but rather reflect it back to ourselves. We've seen this time and again, and we need to fully better recognize who and what's at play, and then put it back on ourselves. Yes, we need great leadership, but we represent the leadership that we're looking for. We need to understand that and internalize that. And I think the first thing that all of us can do is to be strong enough to speak the truth, at least to ask questions. So I'm going to start there and stop here. And again, thank you so much to, especially to the Sankara family. I was thinking as I sat there that maybe we could as well focus on his birth. Yes, it is important to commemorate that day that he was taken away from us, but we can also celebrate his life and what his life represents. Not the same thing, but when we look at Martin Luther King, who was assassinated, who was eliminated as well for what he represented, but then looking at and turning it around and focusing on his life and the tradition among Black people, among African people, to rise up regardless. So we will carry it on, as Assata Shakur once said, or asked us to do, so let us carry it on.
Thank you, brother, for sharing with us your experience in Senegal. And the most important thing is your practical idea about teaching your classroom on Thomas Sankara. Tonight, we have a privilege to introduce to you a sister who has the same problem than us, the Sankara family. I want to name her. That's Laurent Gbagbo daughter tonight. Thank you. She came from Atlanta. Next, after her, it will be our brother, rather, from Sierra Leone.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Marie Singleton, daughter of President and First Lady Laurent Simon Gbagbo from Côte d'Ivoire. It's a privilege to be here. I didn't expect to have to say anything, but I will. Again, it's a privilege to be here, to be part of this movement to change the fate of Africa. We, like the sister said, we're not going to continue to sit and let things happen. We have to rise up, and we have to take the battle that our parents and our family members started. They believed in something, and even though Thomas Sankara is dead, we can see that his spirit and his ideas and his vision is still alive. So let's change this, let materialize this vision into something that will bring a definite change into Africa. When I was watching the video, part of it, it felt like they were talking about Côte d'Ivoire at some point. When they said after Sankara was killed, his family was terrorized and the houses were ransacked and searched. It's the same process. It's the same system that has been in place in Africa. And we should say enough. It's really time for us to rise up and take the lead. Like Brother Nyaka said, it'll cost some lives. But guess what? Sankara wasn't afraid of the cost. Gbagbo was not afraid of the cost. He's still sitting somewhere in the north in some type of jail, whatever we want to call it. But they were not afraid. And all countries in this world had to go through a difficult time, but they had to pave the way to their development and to their freedom. So we truly have to rise all together and carry this vision on, because it all depends. It's for our countries, it's for our children, it's for the future generation, and by the grace of God, it's for ourselves today. It doesn't have to be in the next 20 years, but it can happen today, provided we get up and do what we have to do. So again, I thank the Sankara family for taking the time to keep the vision alive and know that you're not alone. I don't see all this as negative. I see this as a necessary sacrifice. We are willing, as family members, to pay the price for our continent, for our countries, for our children, and let's not be afraid, because it will happen in the name of Jesus.
talking about what you're going to do next year. I just want to know if Brother Nyak could elaborate, because I know he's doing some things now on the news portal that you've introduced, and how that relates to when Sankara was talking about the Africans producing their own products, and how producing your own media products as opposed to consuming the media from outside, how that impacts Africans. So if you could elaborate more on what you're doing.
Okay, thank you, my, who made it, make it now? I'm not that tall, thank you. Well, thank you, Trevor. Yes, it is difficult, but we need to consume what we produce. Sankara said it, Nkrumah said it, our leaders, Dr. King, Marcus Garvey, all the people who care about Africa and the global African diaspora, they understood that we need to be the owners of what we consume so that we can be the masters of our own destiny. I was a journalist back home for 8 years, and I could see, right? I could see how the international media were manipulated. I've seen that. When they receive orders from their governments. But when I was there, sometimes they want to give us the complex, because maybe we're black and we're Africans, that we don't know what is real journalism. So then we heard that. And then when I was writing in Babo's newspaper, we were doing the struggle, and they were telling us that, no, this is not how you should write. But at the same time, when we see how they do the news, you know that they were manipulating the news. So we tried to do what we could do. And then since I've been living here in America, and because I have that passion, and then God gave me the grace to have a sense of service for my community, I try to see the things that are lacking in our organization. And this is how, 4 years ago, we decided to launch that forum, the Revival of Pan-Africanism Forum. And we tried, and this year we resumed that forum. And then, like I said, in partnership with the Sankara's family, many other friends, and then Mrs. Singleton, and then you came to the last conference, my friend Trevor. So now, this is the forum to engage a permanent conversation about Pan-Africanism, about our destiny. But besides that, we need to control our news organization. And there are so many news organizations that exist from of Western powers, and then we see Africans trying, and people of the global African diaspora, they're trying. But maybe I can be wrong. I don't say that I've seen all the website on internet, but you will see Nigerian news here, Ethiopian newspapers here, Sierra Leone newspaper, and Ivorian newspaper. But we wanted to contribute to the Africa Centers News Organization, and then we launched 2 years ago African Diplomacy.com, so that we can give an opportunity to our diplomats, because they don't have any tribune. You can check on internet. We can engage the African diaspora. We can connect different members of the global African diaspora. We can talk about the regional economic integration, and we can talk about the diplomacy engaged by world powers vis-a-vis Africa. What we're doing, and then last week we revamped the site, we upgraded the site, and this is how I'll send all spelling for you. So the site is for you. Somebody has to start. I did it. My friends and I were doing that, but it is for you. When I realized, and I'm going to talk about that, maybe the camera is there, but I will say it. When I realized that allafrica.com, which seemed to be one of the greatest portals on African news, is owned and controlled by somebody who is not African. He might care about Africa, but for me it was a shock. And then that's why the penny I can get, the energy I can get, I put that in the development of that news website. And then, of course, there are many other people who are doing that. Jacques Rocher is here. He has his radio. He's from the Ivory Coast. and he has Jacques Roger Restois, that's his show, but I think it started with Afrique Media, n'est-ce pas? Yes, Afrique Media. So we need, internet is there. You can create your blog, you can create your news organization, and then we have to take advantage of the revolution in internet so that we can create a permanent conversation about what we do, so that we can own the debate or we can own the discourse about our destiny. But if we don't do it, the same thing they did with Thomas Sankara before they kill him. They say Sankara has paranoia. It means that he was not mentally stable. And I remember Obama and the American leaders saying the same thing about Gbagbo. And I know they said the same thing about Lumumba. And I know they said the same thing about Kwame Nkrumah. That's the same pattern. They want to destroy you. They have to do the assassination of character. And then in the media, if you want, I know you're a very knowledgeable person, you can go in the 60s and see what they were saying about Kwame Nkrumah. You will be so shocked. You go, you see the same thing they were saying about Lumumba. You compare that with what they say about Gbagbo, about Gaddafi, and about Sankara, the same exact thing. So that's why we need to be, if I have a call, we need to have, one of my friends said, that revolt, that individual revolt we need to have. We need to be revolted against our circumstances, against the fact that we're not able. We need to fight against God. We need to fight against Satan. We need to fight against our faith. We need to fight against imperialism. We need to fight against all the forces that seem to be preventing us to do simple things we can do. Because that site, we did not put millions in that site. But the site is still around. It is not one of the greatest sites. But if a few people can do that, imagine if we can come together as one, we can achieve many great things. This is what I can say about that project. And it is yours. It is yours. www. I put another one, or that's the three, right? I always problem with those things. www.africandiplomacy.com. I will give you the information. Thank you.
Thank you, Yaka. Is there any? Yes, sir. Short, sir. Be short.
Okay. Hi, good evening. My name is Leo Nyawaba here at Signawa, and I'm from the Ivory Coast. I'm with an organization that we put together called, I'm thinking in the French, Cri Pan-Africain, USA, but in English we translated Pan-African Council for the Ivorian Resistance. I'm very thankful to the Sankara family for organizing this event here. I live in Burkina Faso in '87. I went to school up there. And I actually lived in the family of Alassane Ouattara in Bobo Dioulasso. So it really touches me because they are very nice people. My experience with Burkina Faso, I won't be long. When I traveled there, coming from Ivory Coast, at the time, Burkina Faso was presented as a backward country, Sankara was presented as somebody that was not in touch with reality. But when the train that I was on crossed over the border, I never felt safer like I ever felt in my life. In Ivory Coast, it was total insecurity. You have armed banditry that was created fear. Even during traveling, the bandits will attack trains and buses. So it was a fear to travel. I had my money in my, my underwear, and my mother said, well, look, be careful. Because the bandits would get on the train and basically, just like in Far West. But when I traveled, when the train crossed the Alderaba River, and we were at the Burkina frontier, you had all the armed military that got on the train. And you had to sit there on the train, and I felt safe. And the same evening, when I went to the movie theater, you had there were no armed military to scare the people, but to protect the people. They had the sense of safety. And I'm here this evening to tell you that what's happening in Africa today, is It's sickening because it's the same tactics that they're using. The same tactics. It's like they keep doing the same experiment with us and they succeed all the time. Why? Ask yourself why. The same way they went after Sankara. You know, they see a progressive leader. Man, I live in Burkina Faso. Sankara said, look, we can produce our own material here. Faso d'Anfani. Everybody wear Faso d'Anfani. I ate the best bread in my life in Burkina Faso. In Ivory Coast, you had a French baguette that was so hard, and you know I don't have the teeth, so my teeth was weak. I couldn't eat this French bread that was imported from Europe. They imported the blé, how you say blé in French? The wheat from Europe to make bread in Ivory Coast. In Burkina Faso, the men say, look, we're going to make our bread out of the millet here. And the bread was the tastiest bread, the softest bread I ever ate in that country. Even the soda. We drink Fanta and Miranda in Ivory Coast. They had soda made out of mango. You know, consumed locally. And I felt so happy in that country. You know what I'm saying? The people were so nice, so friendly. Now, I'm gonna cut it short because I'm getting emotional with this, right? I got my Sankara book up here. I'm getting emotional. That's the point I'm come to. Why are they always successful in manipulating Africans, in destroying our, what you call progressive leaders? You know what the problem with Africans is? Our mentality. That's all the problem is. It's a problem mentality, how we thinking and how we acting. We can have all these conferences, we can gather, we can talk all the good talk, but when it comes to acting, how do we react toward each other? What's your brother? What's your name? Bambara. If I say Bambara, look, we got to come together and strategize this struggle. How we gonna do? So I can't sit with you because I don't like your ways. You send emails around, you curse us out. You know, when people are not prioritizing, they're not putting what's the most important about us. When we're so concerned about self, when it's all about me, you know, what's the problem with Africans? We talk, you know what I'm saying, but when it comes to acting, we're scared, we're afraid. You know, somebody come, look, forget about this, I got some money for you. And you see all the leaders, the so-called leaders, you know what I'm saying? Blaise Compaoré was there with Sankara. But they show him the money, and look what happened. So, to conclude this, like I said, I introduced myself the Pan-African Council for the Ivorian Resistance. We're trying to organize. I called all my Ivorian brothers in the conference and said, look, why we say something happened in our country, we got 20 organizations. Why can't we have one? At the conference, it was about 6 organizations, and we ended up with nothing. You know, this is the problem. Africans, we got to learn how to walk in togetherness. We got to focus on what's the most important. See, I like to provoke people. See, I'll provoke you, and I want to see where you are. But the point is, what's the more important? Is it because I curse you out, or is it because we have to free our country? What happened in Ivory Coast is the continuation of what happened in Burkina Faso and elsewhere. You know, so all of us, when we come Ivorians, yes, I really hate to do this, but I'm going to finish with this. You see a bunch of Ivorians here, right? And you go everywhere, you see Ivorians, right? In the past, Ivorians didn't show no concern for anything that happened elsewhere. I'm Ivorians. I walk, when the Liberians had the Civil War, I was walking with them over there. I never seen one Ivorian walking with them. I walked with the Nigerians when they had Sani Abacha, you know. Who killed Sankara? Ivory Coast. I'm from that country. Ivory Coast killed Sankara because Ufwebwanyi killed Sankara or participated in the killing of Sankara. He participated in the destabilization of Liberia. He supported Fode Sanko in what you call, he was with Jonas Savimbi in Angola. We destabilized the entire region. Now, what's happening in our country? It's exactly the curse. They say Ivory Coast is a blessed country. No, it's a cursed country because they stabilized the entire region. So everything is coming back to Ivory Coast, but I want you to know it's not a spirit of revenge. Don't say, well, we're happy it happened to Ivory Coast, because we got to save Ivory Coast, to save Burkina Faso, to save the entire continent of Africa. So let's act, not just talk. Let's get together and let's change the way we think, because that's where the problem is. Thank you, and I appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you, Bill. Thank you.
Which one? like now to have the honor to present Mr. Pascal Sankara to say something about what he feels, and let's hear from him.
Frères et sœurs, bonsoir. Je ne serai pas long. Je n'ai pas besoin de micro.
Okay, yes.
Je ne serai pas long. Quelqu'un m'aide pour parler dans la langue de Jean.
Oui.
Bon, donc de vous. Qui parle déjà dans la langue de voilà ce que je voulais dire.
Dear brothers and sisters, I won't be long. This is what I want to say.
Je voudrais, au nom de la famille Sankara,
On behalf of the Sankara family,
celle d'ici
the one here,
et celle du Burkina,
and the family Burkina Faso, and Madame Sankara.
ok, je ne peux pas l'oublier. C'est ma chérie.
Oui.
Donc, au nom de toute la famille,
In the name of the entire family,
je voudrais remercier les uns et les autres
I would like to thank every one of you
pour avoir fait le déplacement d'aujourd'hui,
for coming here today,
pour qu'ensemble nous commémorions le 24e anniversaire de l'assassinat du président Thomas Sankara.
so that together we could commemorate the 24th anniversary of the assassination of Thomas Sankara.
Alors, je voudrais également dire aux différents camarades ici que ce que nous avions fait comme travail aujourd'hui, ce n'est pas uniquement pour Thomas Sankara.
I would also like to tell all of you here that the work that we did here today is not just for Thomas Sankara.
C'est pour tous les combattants africains.
It is for all the African fighters.
C'est pour tous les leaders africains.
It is for all the African leaders.
Nous avions cité un certain nombre de noms.
We cited some names.
Nous avions parlé de Patrice Lumumba.
We talked about Patrice Lumumba.
Nous avions parlé de Kwame Nkrumah.
We talked about Kwame Nkrumah.
Nous avions parlé de Laurent Gbagbo.
We talked about Laurent Gbagbo.
Nous avions parlé de etc. etc.
We talked about many others.
La liste est longue.
The list is long.
Donc sachez que nous ne parlons pas d'une seule personne.
So know that we're not talking about only one person.
Mais à chaque fois qu'il y aura l'anniversaire, soit de la destruction ou bien de la mort d'un des leaders,
Every time that there will be an anniversary about the assassination or the destruction of one leader,
que nous ayons le courage de nous retrouver pour qu'ensemble nous réfléchissions sur l'avenir.
let's have the courage to meet, to get together, to reflect on the future.
Aujourd'hui, nous parlons de Thomas Sankara. Demain, ça va être peut-être... hein, je ne veux pas donner de nom. Hein? Voilà, donc chacun comprend.
So we're talking about Thomas Sankara today, but tomorrow it could be someone else.
Voilà. Donc je tiens au nom de la famille dire merci à tout le monde parce que je ne veux pas faire des témoignages. Ça va être long.
So again, in the name of the family, I would like to thank all of you. I will not give a testimony because it will be too long.
Et moi, je suis son petit frère, donc moi, j'ai beaucoup vu.
And I'm his younger brother, and I've seen a lot.
Les autres ont vu, mais moi, j'ai vu plus qu'eux.
The other ones did see some things, but I saw more than them.
Peut-être même qu'il va falloir que certains m'aident à écrire un livre.
So some of you probably will have to help me write a book.
Donc, pour cela, je tiens à vous dire merci et vous souhaiter bon retour dans vos familles respectives.
So I thank all of you again, and I wish you a safe return to your
Et
families.
bonne reprise pour demain, pour ceux qui travaillent demain ou lundi. Je vous remercie.
And a good week for the ones going to work tomorrow.
Just make the conclusion yourself. Open it, so.
Thank you for coming, and don't forget this center where we can get together and discuss about important things for Africans and the diaspora. We have so many books that you can purchase for your children, for yourself. with books that you cannot find it anywhere else, and also films like President Sankara. So this is our place where we can get together and discuss things. And my brother hope will be together and do something before we fast. Thank you again for coming.
I'm sorry, I have something to tell you. It's been 3 years now. In French, we decided to do some petition for justice for Thomas Sankara. We want all of you here and so many people names, so we can ask United Nations to try to do a trial about Thomas Sankara case, because our victory is a justice has to be done for Thomas Sankara, and not even Sankara only, so many people in Africa. We have to start it now. If international criminal court exists, it has to exist for everybody. Thomas Sankara was a mankind, and he has been assassinated without justice until now. We're not talking about next year. We want this year a justice to be done for him.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. We can keep talking right there while we're signing the emails and etc. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.